Okay, so we are about to go over this objective. It's found on page 11 of your lesson. List each of the organ systems of the human body, describe their general functions, and list the major organs associated with each organ system. There's a couple of really good places in your book that will help you with the next couple of things. One in your textbook on pages 8 and 9. There are these charts down at the bottom of the page, and those are really great. If you need more information, you should look in the text related to these pages, but the charts are often a good place to start. And then also, in your lab manual on page 16, there is this table that gives you a good overview of each of the organ systems. What are the parts to the organ systems? What are their functions? What I found, though, is this is generally not sufficient, and that students need a little something more to really have these functions of these organ systems sink in. And so I'm going to show you an activity that I do with my students in class. The files where you can print this off and do this at home or along with the recording can be found in the Active Learning folder. Okay, in the file that you have hopefully printed off, you'll find lots of words, and you should cut those words into pieces. And these are the 11 different systems that I've laid out here. And so what I want you to do is use the charts in your book, the charts in your lab manual, and see if you can hook them up to some of the other things that are in those papers. Okay, so one thing that is listed, okay, you're going to find on these, and they've got little bullet points by them, and so they're going to be little sheets of paper here, and this one says it senses the external and internal environments and causes responses by sending electrical signals throughout the body. Okay, so those are that's an example of function, and you want to try, and it's not going to be worded exactly the same as in your lab manual or your textbook, but that's on purpose because I want you to understand what it is you're reading enough to see if you can match some of these things. Now there's a couple of ways to do it. One, you can look through the functions and you can see, okay, which of this makes sense? So here's one right away that I can look at. And this one, I know you can't see it in the video, but it says, provide sperm and egg for the perpetuation of the species. Now, sperm, egg, you're probably immediately going to think reproductive system, and you would be correct. If you didn't know what the word perpetuation meant, go on Google, just type it into Google, and that'll help you know. And so here we've got a function matched up with the reproductive system. Okay? All right, so let's look at another one here. Another one we've got is going to be, here's one, and it says, transports blood throughout the body, and it provides nutrients to the tissues and removes waste from the tissues. Well, transports blood throughout the body. Well, that one is going to be the cardiovascular. You've got your heart, which pumps the blood vessels, which help circulate it throughout the body. And so now we've got a function matched up with the cardiovascular system. Okay, so let's keep going through here, and let's talk about ones that might, sometimes students get them confused. So I've got a couple here. One of these says protects, and it protects deeper organs from mechanical damage, that would be something hitting on it or rubbing up against it, from chemical damage, and from drying out. Okay. And here's another one that also has the word protection in it. It says body support, protection of internal organs, and provides levers for the muscles. So both of these are protecting, but there's something different. And so if two things seem similar, you need to say, well, what's different and what clues could that give me? So this one up top that says protects deeper organs from mechanical damage and chemical damage. So it protects you against chemicals getting deep inside. And it also keeps you from drying out. And it turns out that's going to be the skin, and the integumentary system is going to be the skin. Okay. But this one here, well, this is also protection, but it also provides levers for the muscles and body support. Well, it turns out the way that our muscles move, so if my finger is moving, the bones are moving relative to each other because the muscles pull on the bones. So the bones are really a lever for movement. And so that's going to put us into the skeletal system. Okay. Now the skeletal system also provides body support. If you think of your spine, your vertebra, that holds you upright, keeps you from being a puddle on the floor. So it provides that sort of support. And then if you think of areas like your rib cage, well, that's going to be providing that protection for everything inside of your rib cage. It protects your lungs, your heart. Okay. All right. Now, let's say there's some of them that maybe you don't quite know the function, but you think, well, maybe I can figure it out another way. Okay. So, for example, here we've got this word right here, and that says skeletal muscles. So these are ones that are individual organs, and you want to match them with the organ system. Well, skeletal muscles, well, I guess that goes with muscular system. So sometimes you can think of that first. What are the parts to that system? And what do skeletal muscles do? Well, anytime a skeletal muscle contracts, I get movement. Okay? And so now we can look over in the functions, and one of our functions says cells contract or shorten, providing movement. And so that's going to be the function that we now place with the muscular system. Okay. So now let's get another couple ones that are very similar. Okay, so here we've got two. These two are both sensing the external and internal environment and then causing responses. So that means they're going to sense something outside or inside. And when they sense it, they respond. But one does so by electricity and one does by chemicals. Okay, well, the one that's electricity is the nervous system. And the one that is chemicals is going to be the endocrine system. Okay, so let me give you a couple of examples. The nervous system. Nervous system would be, say, if you sense outside is cold. If it's very cold, what do you then start eventually doing? Well, the response is you may start shivering, and that provides movement that then heats you up. So the sensation is cold, the response is shivering, and therefore heating up. And what is it that does that? Well, your electrical impulses of your nervous system are going to sense cold and then send an electrical zap to your muscles to cause you to shiver in response. Okay, endocrine system, it can be external. Most of the time it is internal, but it can sense external stimuli as well. Okay, and it sends chemical signals. These chemical signals have a name called hormones. So it's going to send hormones throughout the body. So one example that would be an external stimulus, maybe if you were out jogging, as I have been before, and you see a dog coming at you, barking and baring its teeth. And I've had that happen to me before too. So I'm sensing the dog, I'm hearing it, I'm seeing it. that information goes to my brain and I feel fear. And what then happens is that then causes the release of epinephrine, also called adrenaline. Okay, and that's an endocrine, a hormone response. And that hormone goes to my heart and causes it to beat very fast. It goes to my lungs and it increases the diameter of my lung tubes so that I can breathe in oxygen more, so that hopefully I can run away from the dog. Okay, but that is because of chemicals, hormones being sent into the blood. So nervous system, electrical signal, endocrine system, chemical. Another difference you should know about these two systems, nervous system is going to be a more fast-acting system. The response often happens more quickly, and it can go away quickly. Endocrine system, the response often may happen a little bit more slowly, but the response is often more long-lasting. Okay? Those are some of the differences. Here's another one. It says breaks down ingested materials into small chemicals. So you can ask yourself, well, what's an ingested material? Something you ingest, something you either drink or eat. And so that would be like, so that goes into the digestive system. It breaks it into small pieces, but then the next part is really important. It absorbs these small chemicals, these small pieces from food into the bloodstream. And that's incredibly important. It just doesn't break a hamburger into small pieces, but allows you to absorb nutrients into the body. Okay. Another one. Provides oxygen to the blood and removes carbon dioxide from the blood. That's going to be respiratory. Lymphatic is going to be picking up fluid from around your tissues. It turns out a lot of our tissues just bathe in a little bit of fluid. But we don't want that to get to be too much, or else you start swelling up. And you may have seen that either in yourself or other people. They start to swell. It's called edema. And that's swelling in the tissues. That's fluid buildup in the tissue. Well, it turns out the lymphatic system is a series of vessels. It picks up those fluids and sends it back to the blood. Along with that, you're going to have a whole bunch of white blood cells in those lymphatic system, lymphatic vessels, and those white blood cells are going to fight off anything foreign, a microorganism, a virus, a bacteria. It's going to make sure that it hopefully doesn't make you sick. All right. And then the last one is the urinary system. It turns out the urinary system is constantly filtering your blood, and it's taking wastes and toxins and extra chemicals out of your blood and sends it out in urine. The other thing it does is that you may have noticed if you get dehydrated, your urine would get very yellow and you stop producing as much urine. It's because your body is saying, hey, urinary system, we want to keep that urine in, or we want to keep that fluid in the blood. We don't want to send it out to the urine, okay? And so it helps keep blood volume and all the chemicals in your blood in a constant level. Okay? All right. Now I'm going to let you go through, now that we've talked about some of the different functions, I want you to go through these different things, the individual components, cartilage, bones, stomach, pituitary gland, all of these different things. And I want you to see if you can place them into the correct categories. You can use your book, you can use your lab manual, and this is the part where you need to reach out to your instructor. So I want you to try and do that, and you're welcome to take a picture, send it to your instructor and ask him or her, hey, is this correct? Did I get them in the right places? Or you're welcome to just send an email and ask a question and say, hey, for example, veins. Are veins in the cardiovascular system? I'm not really sure, and your instructor can confirm, yes, veins are in fact in the cardiovascular system. Okay? All right. So that's this section. That is this active learning exercise. And this is something that you can use to quiz yourself as well. You can mix up everything and then practice sorting it and putting it all in the right locations. And if you can do that without looking at your book, or even get to the point where you could restate this function without looking at it, not memorize it, but state it in your own words so that you actually know it, then you're going to be in good shape for the exam. Okay, and one last thing on this idea of organ systems. They're very important. That's why I'm spending a fair amount of time on them. Once you feel good about what you think the organ systems do, I want you to think about that same information in a little bit different way. And so I want you to think of it in the context of what common functions do humans need to live. Now, I've just come up with some. They're not necessarily ones that you need to memorize. It's more as an exercise for you to think about what these systems do. So I'm just going to give you a few different functions. So one, cells need energy. So I want you to think about what are the organ systems that provide cells with energy. Okay. One obvious one that might come up, the digestive system. Okay. You might think, well, digestive system brings food into the blood, but what then sends that food, those nutrients, those energy molecules, out to the cells in the entire body? Well, that's going to be the cardiovascular system. So just go through and see what you can think of that would make sense. What systems work together to give you this function that provides cells with energy? Another one would be sensing and responding to the outside environment. Okay, and there's a couple that should come to mind right away, but you can make a case for others as well. So a couple that might come to mind would be endocrine, of course, and the nervous system. But I've had students make cases for the integumentary system. That's the place. This is the place, the skin, that senses when something's cold, that senses if a mosquito lands on my arm and bites me. So it's those different systems. So you can think of what are the ones that are sensing, what are the ones that are helping to respond. If I touch a hot stove, I pull my hand back. Well, what are the systems involved in pulling my hand back? And so I've had some students make a case for muscular because that's part of the response. So another couple that I want you to think of is maintaining a constant internal environment. Okay, so think about that. What helps us maintain a constant internal environment? And there's a bunch. There's a whole bunch that are involved in this, and so I want you to think about that. What helps protect us? So protection from the environment. So what are all the systems that do that? So think through that and see what are the things that do this. What things help us physically move? So physical movement. That's something that we need to be able to live. We've got to move from place to place, at least as humans we do. Other organisms may be more or less stationary. And then the last one is going to be continuation of the species. We definitely I may not need that to live as an individual, but if we're going to live as a population of humans, then we definitely need continuation of the species. So this is just an exercise for you to go through and think about what are some of the systems that might fit in each of these categories, okay? Just a self-test. And again, feel free, if you're uncertain, to email your instructor to see, do I really understand this?